Good Will Hunting is a 1997 American psychological drama film directed by Gus Van Sant and written by Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. We first meet Will as he hangs out in his tiny apartment. He's a 20 years old from South Boston who is a self-taught natural genius and that has recently paroled from jail. When he's not reading, he hangs out with his friends like Chucky, Billy, and Morgan. He also works on a construction site as well as a janitor mopping the hallways of MIT. Meanwhile, a professor at MIT named Gerard Lambeau puts an extremely complicated math problem on the hallway blackboard to see if any of his students are up to the challenge. Turns out they're not, but of course Will knows how to solve it, and he writes out the answer on the blackboard when no one's watching. After finding Will's answer, Professor Gerard takes things up a notch. He leaves another problem on the board that only a few of the world's greatest minds can solve. And that's when he catches Will. Yep, the janitor is solving the math problems. Initially, Gerald thinks Will is vandalizing it and chases him off. At a bar, Will meets Skylar, a British woman who is about to graduate from Harvard College and who plans on attending medical school at Stanford. The next day, Will and his friends fight a gang that contains a member who used to bully Will as a child. Will is arrested after he attacks a responding police officer. Lambeau sits on his court appearance and watches Will defend himself. He arranges for him to avoid jail time if he agrees to study mathematics under Lambeau's supervision and participate in psychotherapy sessions. Will tentatively agrees, but treats his therapist with mockery. In desperation, Lambeau calls on Dr. Sean Maguire, his college roommate who now is a psychology teacher at Bunker Hill Community College. Unlike other therapists, Sean actually challenges Will's defense mechanisms. At first, Will seems like he's too much for Maguire. Within minutes of meeting each other, Will realizes that Maguire has a lot of sadness around his memories of his wife. So Will pokes at it and prods at it until the therapist grabs him by the throat and threatens him. After Maguire had a chance to regroup, he takes Will to a park bench and tells him that it doesn't matter how smart he is or how much he's learned from books. All that matters is that Will is too chicken to live life on any terms but his own, which means he will never know true love or experience the best things in life's firsthand. When he's not in therapy or in his math sessions with Lambeau, Will hangs out with Skylar. Things go well at first, but Will is an orphan and has a deep-seated fear that eventually anyone he loves will walk away from him. So he makes a preemptive strike and pushes Skylar away before she can get the chance to hurt him. Tensions rise between Professor Lambeau and Will's therapist, Sean Maguire. See, Maguire thinks that Will should figure out for himself what to do with his life, but Lambeau won't be satisfied with any results that doesn't involve Will using his gifts as a mathematician. Eventually, the two get into a huge blow-up fight, and Lambeau storms away, calling Maguire a loser and a failure. Meanwhile, Will keeps on working at a construction job that he got through his buddy Chucky. One day, Chucky confronts Will about how he's wasting his intelligence hanging around construction site. But Will says it doesn't matter if he's smart, as long as he's happy. Chucky insists that Will owes a debt to all the other men working on the construction site who wish they had the gifts Will does. Chucky's wish is that he will show up at Will's house one day and find Will gone.
You know what the best part of my day is? For about 10 seconds from when I pull up to the curb when I get to your door. Because I think maybe I'll get up there and I'll knock on the door and you won't be there. No goodbye, no see you later, no nothing. Just left.
In an effort to help Will get over his abandonment issues, Sean Maguire tells him the story of how he passed up one of the greatest baseball games ever to go on a date with the woman who would one day be his wife. He tells Will that he never regrets being with his wife, despite all of the pain he still feels after losing her to cancer. After he sees photos of the injuries Will got as an abused child, Maguire walks up to him and repeats the phrase, "It's not your fault," until Will breaks down and weeps. Turns out our boy is a little vulnerable. In the final moments of the movie, Will takes a job with one of the think tanks that Professor Lambeau set him up with. But when Chucky shows up at the door, he's not there. He left Boston and is headed for California in his car, hoping to get Skylar back. she's at Stanford. Before going, he leaves a note in Sean Maguire's mailbox saying that he had to see about a girl, which is the same line Maguire used on his friends when he first met his wife.
I'm sorry. I had to go see about a girl. Will.
Son of a bitch. He stole my line.
The film received positive reviews from critics and grossed over $225 million during its theatrical run against a $10 million budget. At the 70th Academic Awards, it received a nomination in 9 categories, including Best Picture and Best Director, and won in 2 Best Supporting Actor for Williams and Best Original Screenplay for Affleck and Damon. In 2014, it was ranked at number 53 in the Hollywood Report's 100 Favorite Films.